Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion, chapter 16 we are starting today, a description of Jambudvip, text number 1 onwards. So as I mentioned yesterday, now these chapters will have lots and lots of figures. The universe that we study in our school and colleges, it will not conform with those figures. And because this is in Bhagavatam, this is what is the knowledge that is coming down from Acharyas and from Brahmaji, because we come in the Sampradaya of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is the one who created the whole universe, all the planets, everything, and based on the creation that Krishna had already done. So the knowledge that we receive is the most accurate knowledge. Now, why the material scientists cannot access all these things? Well, basically, one reason is all the planets that are mentioned, either above earthly planet or below, they are not in the same category as Bhumandal. Means category in the sense some are more subtle than Bhumandal. So, of course, everything is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, soul, ego. These are the 8 ingredients. But every ingredient is in a different permutation, combination, different percentage on different planets. So that is why our instruments, our tools cannot measure, sometimes cannot even see those planets. Forget about the residents of those planets. Every planet, every creation of the Lord, every planet has population. But we cannot see because our tools, our instruments are based on this body, the way we see it right now. It's not there to measure the citizens of other planets. So anyway, so we go with whatever knowledge is given in Bhagavatam, whether we understand or not, doesn't matter, because it's very difficult to understand, very difficult to visualize also. And but one thing for sure, after going through all this whole description of the universe, we should understand how great Krishna is. We should come to this understanding how great Krishna is. And this is just one universe among millions and millions of universes, material universe. And Prabhupada has explained this is the smallest universe in the whole creation. Why? Because Brahmaji of this universe has only 4 heads. There are Brahmajis of other universes of 16, 64, 132, and on and on and on and on heads. Millions of heads of Brahman. Brahmaji has millions of heads for some universes because those universes are so huge. He has to have that many heads to look at everything within the universe because he is the ultimate in charge. So to understand even this universe, these descriptions, it's very difficult. But we just go with it, and all we do is appreciate the opulence of Krishna, his energies. When Krishna showed his universal form in Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, Arjun was bewildered. He was crying. He was, no, 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 Krishna, I don't want to see it more. Just come back to your two-handed form. He just saw for a few minutes. That's it. But he was given the divine eyes, so he could see that. So now we can just pray to Prabhupada to give us some divine eyes, some divine intelligence to understand whatever he is writing and whatever Shukdev Goswami is going to explain to Parikshit Maharaj. And as I said, at least let's appreciate the opulence of Krishna. Till ninth canto, Shukdev Goswami will definitely describe plenty of opulences of Krishna, so that when we enter 10th canto, we at least have some understanding of how great Krishna is. He's not an ordinary boy, just a teenager boy playing around with gopis and gopas. Those are his very, very sweet pastimes with his devotees. But his opulence is nevertheless not decreased when he's playing with the gopis and he's stealing butter and all those beautiful pastimes, very sweet pastimes. And these are the opulences. This is the energy of Krishna. We'll see. It's amazing. Next one. Rajovacha uktastvaya bhumandalayam abhisheshu yavadati yaspati yatra chaso jyotisham ganesh chandrama vasah drishyate. King Parikshit said to Shukdev Goswami, O Brahman, you have already informed me that the radius of Bhumandal extends as far as the sun spreads its light and heat, and as far as the moon and all the stars can be seen. In this verse, it is stated that the planetary system known as Bhumandal extends to the limits of the sunshine. According to modern science, the sunshine reaches Earth from a distance of 93 million miles. If we calculate according to this modern information, 93 million miles can be considered the radius of Bhumandal. In the Gayatri Mantra, we chant Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. The word Bhur refers to Bhumandal. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. The sunshine spreads throughout Bhumandal. Therefore, the sun is worshipable. The stars, which are known as nakshatra, are not different suns, as modern astronomers suppose. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the stars are similar to the moon. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Krishna says, of all the nakshatras, of all the stars, I am moon. So stars are similar to the moon. Like the moon, the stars reflect the sunshine. Apart from our modern distinguished estimations of where the planetary systems are located, we can understand that the sky and its various planets were studied long, long before Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled. Shukdev Goswami explained the location of the planets, and this indicates that the information was known long, long before Shukdev Goswami related it to Maharaj Parikshit. The location of the various planetary systems was not unknown to the sages who flourished in the Vedic age. So all these planetary systems, locations, everything was known. And this calculations, astronomy was so perfectly done in those days, like they had calculated when exactly solar eclipse, lunar eclipse will take place. Not just which date, what time exactly. They had it all calculated, all figured it out, and given in the shlokas and passed on to their disciples, and they passed on to their disciples. The time, exact time of sunrise and sunset is also mentioned. We don't need big telescopes to find out what time the sunrise will be and what time the sunset will be. And so many other calculations are already given. This is science, real science. In India, it's called Panchang, and it's all mentioned over there. I'm not an expert in that, but so many people, they can just calculate Panchang and they just tell. For the whole year, they calculate and it's mentioned in the calendars. And we just refer to the calendars, when is Ekadashi, when is sunrise, when is sunset for this place, and solar eclipse, lunar, and so many other things. I'm just telling a few little things. Text 2. My dear Lord, the rolling wheels of Maharaj Priyavrat's chariot created 7 ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Because of these 7 oceans, Bhumandal is divided into 7 islands. You have given a very general description of their measurement, names, and characteristics. Now I wish to know of them in detail. Kindly fulfill my desire. So Shukdev Goswami had mentioned about Bhumandal being divided into 7 islands, and they became, and because of the rim of the chariot of Maharaj Priyavrat, 7 ditches were created and they became 7 oceans. So Parikshit Maharaj wants to know them in detail. Text 3. When the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. In that transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. Oh my Lord, please describe vividly how that form which covers the entire universe is perceived. Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master Shukdev Goswami to think of the universal form of the Lord, and therefore, following the advice of his spiritual master, he continuously thought of that form. The universal form is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimately nothing is material because everything is coming from Krishna. It is material how we perceive of that and how we utilize that energy of the Lord. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj's mind was saturated with spiritual consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated everything, even that which is material, is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates this verse as follows. Hari sevaya yaha haya anukula, vishay baliya kahar, tyage haya bhula. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of God, thinking it material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. When Maharaj Parikshit was thinking of the universal form of the Lord, his mind was certainly situated on the transcendental platform. Therefore, although he might not have had any reason to be concerned with detailed information of the universe, he was thinking of it in relationship with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, such geographical knowledge was not material, but transcendental. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni has said, Idam hi Vishram Bhagwan Evetara. The entire universe is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although it appears different from. Therefore, although Parikshit Maharaj had no need for geographical knowledge of this universe, that knowledge was also spiritual and transcendental because he was thinking of the entire universe as an expansion of the energy of the Lord. And that's what it is. The universe is the expansion of the energy of the Lord. We saw how universe came into being. When Mahavishnu exhales, all the universes come out of his the body of the whole force of his body. And it comes out in an unmanifest form. And then when he glances at the um, Pradhan, then it becomes Mahatattva and some activity starts. The whole thing. It all comes from Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is expansion of Krishna. So Prabhupada says, in our preaching work also, we deal with so much property and money and so many books bought and sold, but because these dealings all pertain to the Krishna consciousness movement, they should never be considered material. That one is absorbed in the thoughts of such management does not mean that he is outside of Krishna consciousness. If one rigidly observes the regulative principle of chanting 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So this part, Prabhupada makes sure that he puts in, and we have to follow it properly. If one rigidly observes the regulative principles of chanting 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day, see, then our consciousness will be properly situated. And then in that consciousness, if we do any service for Krishna, outwardly it might look like a material service, like management or collecting funds or any other service. That all will be spiritual. If we are not, if we're neglecting our chanting of 16 rounds every day properly, then the same activities, instead of bhakti, they will just become pious activity. So what do we want? That's up to us. Whether we want just to create some pious activities, good karma, so that we can go to heavenly planet and enjoy there, but from there also we have to come back. It's up to us. Or whether we really want to do bhakti, please Krishna, then we have to do our chanting. Most important aspect of bhakti is chanting. That we have to do properly. And then all our activities. And whether it is seemingly connected with Krishna or not, still it will all be spiritual. Whether we are doing our jobs or business, taking care of the family, taking care of the kids, whatever we are doing, because our consciousness will be properly situated. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, he did not ask Shukdev Goswami here that, oh, Shukdev Goswami, I think I have heard enough. Let us talk about Krishna's dancing with the gopis. He did not say that. Because his consciousness was so properly situated that even listening to the creation and the description of the universe, he just wanted to visualize how everything comes from Krishna. And he could do so. Text 4. The great Rishi Shukdev Goswami said, my dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of the material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal regions, such as Bhu, Golok, or Bhulok, with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms. So no material person could describe it, but Shukdev Goswami said, I'll try to explain to you the principal regions only, not in the full detail. Of course, the details are given in other Vedic scriptures that we don't have access to. The material world is only 1/4 of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's creation, because the 3/4 is the spiritual world. But it is unlimited and impossible for anyone to know or describe, even with the qualification of a life as long as that of Brahmaji, who lives for millions and millions of years. Modern scientists and astronomers try to explain the cosmic situation and the vastness of space, and some of them believe that all the glittering stars are different suns. From Bhagavad Gita, however, we understand that all these stars, nakshatras, are like the moon, in that they reflect the sunshine. They're not independent luminaries. Bhuloka is explained to be that portion of outer space through which the heat and light of the sun extends. Therefore, it is natural to conclude that this universe extends in space as far as we can see and encompasses the glittering stars. Srila Shukdev Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible. But nevertheless, he wanted to give the king as much knowledge as he had received through the Parampara system. We should conclude that if one cannot comprehend the material expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly cannot estimate the expansiveness of the spiritual world. So if we cannot even know the material world, how can we think of knowing the spiritual world? Brahm Samhita confirms this. The limits of the expansions of Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be estimated by anyone, even a person as perfect as Brahma, not to speak of tiny scientists whose senses and instruments are all imperfect and who cannot give us information of even this one universe. We should therefore be satisfied with the information obtainable from Vedic sources as spoken by authorities like Shukdev Goswami. So this is how Krishna has created this one universe, which is so complicated. And there are millions and millions of such material universes, and there's only 1/4 of the whole creation. Text 5. The planetary system known as Bhumandal resembles a lotus flower, and its 7 islands resemble the whole of that flower. The length and breadth of the island known as Jambudvip, which is situated in the middle of the whole, are 1 million yojans, 8 million miles. Jambudvip is round like the leaf of a lotus flower. So whole means the inner part. Sanskrit term is kosha. Kosha means whole. So it's like Bhumandal is like a lotus flower, and 7 islands resemble the whole of that flower. And Jambudvip is situated in the middle of that whole. And its length and breadth, or the diameter, is 1 million yojans, 8 million miles. Text 6. In Jambudvip, there are 9 divisions of land, each with a length of 9,000 yojans, or 72,000 miles. There are 8 mountains that mark the boundaries of these divisions and separate them nicely. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following quotation from the Vayu Puran, wherein the locations of the various mountains, beginning with the Himalayas, are described. So it's mentioned in Vayu Puran. Now, we don't have access to Vayu Puran, but Prabhupada has quoted that. Text 7. Amidst these divisions of Varshas is a Varsha named Ilavrat, which is situated in the middle of the whole of that lotus. Within Ilavrat Varsh is Sumeru mountain, which is made of gold. Sumeru mountain is like the pericarp of the lotus-like Bhumandal planetary system. So what is pericarp? And Sanskrit is at Karnika Bhuta. Let me see what is Perikar. Google Mataji is there. Pericarp means a part of a fruit formed from the wall of the ripened ovary. So in the center, what is the pericarp of a fruit? The outer layer, typically edible, is a pericarp. I don't know how it relates to Sumeru mountain, but this is what Prabhupada said. The mountain's height is the same as the width of Jambudvip, or in the other words, 100,000 yojans. So that's how high Sumeru mountain is, and which is made of gold. Of that, 16,000 yojans are within the earth, and therefore the mountain's height above the earth is 84,000 yojans. The mountain's width is 32,000 yojans at its summit and 16,000 yojans at its base. So it's like this, upside down, not the way we see the mountains. So it's wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. Text 8. Just north of Ilavritvarsh and going further northward, one after another, are three mountains named Nila, Shweta, and Shringvan. These mark the borders of the three Varshas named Ramyak, Hiranamay, and Kuru, and separate them from one another. The width of these mountains is 2,000 yojans, 16,000 miles. Lengthwise, they extend east and west to the beaches of the ocean of salt water. Going from south to north, the length of each mountain is 1/10 that of the previous mountain, but the height of them all is the same. In this regard, Madhvacharya quotes the following verses from Brahmanda Purana. So there's Brahmanda Purana also. It talks about the creation. Actually, someplace I was reading, every Puran has to talk about this universe, the description of the universe. I mean, there are certain things that every Puran has to talk about, just like Srimad Bhagavatam. It has 10 subject matters. So the description of universe is one of the things that every Puran has to talk about for it to be bona fide. It's not like people just make up their own stories and they call it like Sai Puran. I have heard of that. There is a Sai Puran. Just people have just written some stories about Sai Baba and they call it Puran. That's not Puran. Or that is not bona fide scripture. It appears from these verses that aside from the sun and moon, there is an invisible planet called Rahu. The movements of Rahu cause both solar and lunar eclipses. We suggest that the modern expeditions attempting to reach the moon are mistakenly going to Rahu. So this is mentioned in this Brahmanda Purana. Rahu Soma Ravinam Cha Mandaladad Dvi Gunoktitam. Anyway, so we just have to take Prabhupada's words on it. Otherwise, there's no way we can understand. So we'll study it more tomorrow. We'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी, इसको कैसे समझेंगे प्रभु जी? It's becoming a little difficult अभी तो all these things.
I know it is difficult, but what to do?
इसको और भी डिटेल और भी एक्सप्लेनेशन है क्या प्रभु जी?
भागवतम में नहीं है, but और जगह है, and this is how this model of the universe will be presented in our new Mayapur temple of Vedic planetarium. It will be hung in the main hall, and devotees are working on how to create, and they are going to make all the planets also rotate. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Do you know of any picture or anything available for this, so that at least some Korean dimag will get it?
Pictures are there. Devotees have created the paintings. We just have to search.
Google search to the प्रभु जी. आपको भी कुछ मिलेगा तो प्रभु जी प्लीज पोस्ट कर दीजिएगा, because then I think we'll be able to relate to it. एक तो
Okay.
names are so difficult, on top of it the calculation.
Sure. I mean, some devotees have really done lots of research work into this, because they have that kind of mind to understand or figure out what exactly it means. But it's very difficult. Yes, Arshamata, you were saying something.
No, but Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, I was just saying कि मैं कल थोड़ा सा पढ़ने की कोशिश किया है सर. Let me read it out क्या next आने वाला है. But प्रभु जी 2-3 श्लोक I just stopped it. मेरे को तो समझ ऐसा लगा कि शायद कल की क्लास में कुछ ज्यादा समय में आ जाएगा, बट आज भी वही हाल है.
ये बड़ा मुश्किल है इसको समझना, बड़ा ही मुश्किल है.
बहुत मुश्किल है. 2 लाइन के बाद तो माइंड ही नहीं सेट करता प्रभु जी. उसके बाद ऐसा लगता है कहीं और दिमाग चला गया, फिर वापस लेके आओ, फिर पढ़ना शुरू करो. इट्स लाइक very difficult, very difficult.
And also, if we just look at, अभी तो सिर्फ जाम्बू द्वीप का डिस्क्रिप्शन है, right? Mount Sumeru, so huge. And what is Earth compared to all this? Nothing. Mount Sumeru is millions of miles tall. And Earth is nothing in comparison to Mount Sumeru. And on Earth, what are we? We just have one little plot, maybe 300 square yards, and we think we are somebody very big.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Where do we stand? Nowhere.
Nowhere. Really.
And look at the pastimes of the Lord when even Vamandev, the pastime will come, and next chapter is also about Ganges, description of Ganges. He just, with 2 steps, he covered the whole universe. And this is a description of universe we cannot even imagine. And he just covered the whole universe. And at the second step, with the toe, he just pierced the covering of the universe, and the water came from the Karan Sagar, and that became Ganges. How in the world to understand how big was Vaman there and his steps?
It looks so simple, but समझने की कोशिश करो तो नहीं समझ
नहीं आता.
Just अभी ये बता रहे थे ना, गोल्ड का सुमेरु पर्वत is gold, made of gold. That was just thought came to mind of the small earrings I have, and मैं उसी पे इतना इतराती रहती हूँ. It's just इतना बड़ा माउंटेन. हमारे को इसमें से के लिए इतना स्ट्रगल करना पड़ता है कि छोटा सा कुछ बनवाना है तो पैसे जोड़ना शुरू करो. We have to make earrings. Very practical this thing, बोलने के साथ ही होता है. Saving the money, छोटा करके थोड़ा सा बनाना है. और ये यहाँ पे पूरा का पूरा माउंटेन ही है गोल्ड का.
भगवान भी पता नहीं क्या करते हैं.
सच में.
इसलिए तो हंसी आती है जब लोग कहते हो आई नो भगवान, आई नो कृष्णा.
They're not ready to listen also.
Yeah.
क्या कथा में जाते हो आप?
वो तो बस भगवान की कृपा है. It's only His mercy that He is letting us serve Him. That's all. We are nowhere we can understand Him or serve Him.
प्रभु जी ये चैप्टर बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है.
ये और आगे के सारी चैप्टर्स till the end of 5th canto, they're very interesting.
Absolutely.
प्रभु जी, had it not
Yeah.
been for Prabhupada's purpose, मेरे ख्याल से थोड़ा सा और मुश्किल होता है प्रभु जी. I don't know how.
हाँ, without that तो impossible है. उसके बिना तो impossible है. वो समझ ही नहीं पाएंगे.
I don't know how other editions जो है market में, how people are understanding from that, पता नहीं.
I don't know.
मतलब योजन पहले सुना ही नहीं था. Now 10,000 yojans is also coming. So we know yojan is also a calculation.
Yeah, and everything is exact. It's not like Shukdev Goswami said, oh, approximately that many yojans. No. He did not say that.
Nothing is in decimal also, Prabhuji. मतलब everything 10,000 yojans सीधा बता.
Yeah, सीधा.
Accuracy.
Yep.
And I wonder, Prabhuji, हम लोग तो यहाँ पे 3 बार पढ़ने के बाद भी नाम याद नहीं रहता. मतलब imagine the level of Shukdev Goswami and all की एक बार उनको सारा नाम भी याद है. ये वर्षा, वो वर्षा, all the stuff.
Yep.
Srila Prabhupada, and thanks to you, Prabhuji. To explain
Thanks
to
to
us.
Prabhupada only. मेरे को तो खुद को नहीं समझ में आया ये आज तक. But it is mind-boggling. Just completely mind-boggling.
And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for reading it out to us and explaining to us. Hopefully, थोड़ा हमें भी ज्ञान मिले.
Yeah, hopefully I can also understand a little bit. Chalo, I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Jai Shri Ram.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you Prabhuji.